And we are live on another week of the Cold Truth Podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, White Boy Chris. Today's show is not going to be too entirely long, but the NFL season is right around the corner. But this is just something, I guess, that's just been on my mind, and maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm not. But 2023 Hall of Fame inductees, of course, just happened last Thursday for the NFL Hall of Fame game. Congratulations to everybody that got inducted. I know that is, pretty much one of the top honors you can receive in the NFL outside of getting a Super Bowl. As we know, the NFL's Hall of Fame is an elite class for the most part. We know that they kind of, show favoritism in a way, but it is what it is. But just getting into the actual NFL Hall of Fame inductees list. Um, and again, this is I'll get into it after I go through the names. But so right now, and this year we've had 9 inductees. All right, so we had Rondé Barber, who I believe spent his entire career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl champion, of course. I believe that was 2002 that they won. I want to make sure I'm not giving. I believe it was 2002, but he was pretty much a lifer on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played cornerback, pretty much played in the secondary. We have Don Coryell. I hope I don't mispronouncing these people's names, considering some of them I don't know. They were way before my time. But he was a coach for the then St. Louis Cardinals and the then San Diego Chargers. Coached his last game in 1986. Was known mainly for his offense, and he was just inducted this year. Again, his last game coach was in 86. He passed away back in July 2010. Then we have Chuck Howley, linebacker, played for the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys, playing careers from 58 to 73. Had multiple All Pros for 5 consecutive seasons and was selected to 6 consecutive Pro Bowls. So definitely has the resume for that. Joe Klecko, DN, played on the defensive line, played for the New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts, had a 11-year career, played from 77 to 88. Um, and it looks like he actually did play 3 different positions across that D line. He played defensive end, played defensive tackle, and of course played nose tackle if you switch to the 3-4. And he was inducted this year, and again, last year playing was in 1988. Darrell Reeves, of course, more of our another one that's kind of closer to my era of players that I know. Reeves Island, won his Super Bowl for in that one year, I believe that he played with the Patriots, but started off with the Jets. Of course, that's where his name, that's where he pretty much was known, starting off with the Jets, and then played for the Bucks, Patriots, back to the Jets, ended his career with the Kansas City Chiefs in 2017. Uh, first team, 4-time first team All Pro. I'm sorry. And a 7-time Pro Bowler, and he was actually a first ballot Hall of Famer. I believe this was the first year he was eligible, and he was a first ballot. All right. So then we have Ken Riley, played corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, played from 69 to 83. So he had a 14-year career, 6th round pick, and he never was never made an All Pro team. No, I'm sorry. It says he never made a Pro Bowl, but he was a first. He has one All Pro selection in '83, the last season before he retired, and apparently he had 8 receptions. That's interceptions. I'm sorry, that season, not receptions. And then I want to say you have 2 more. You have Joe Thomas, offensive tackle, Cleveland Browns. Of course, he was loyal to the fan base. He had many opportunities to leave, but never left. Has 6 first team All Pro selections, 10 Pro Bowl selections, all with the Cleveland Browns from '07 to 2017, when clearly that was kind of like the franchise that no one saw going anywhere during that time. You know what the saying was: if a team didn't like you, they sent you to the Browns. And then last 2, We have Zach Thomas, who was a linebacker for the Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys. Was the AFC Defensive Rookie Player of the Year when he came into the league. Five first team All Pros, seven Pro Bowls. I'm sorry. And then last but not least, we had DeMarcus Ware, linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos. Spent most of his career with the Dallas Cowboys, but of course got his Super Bowl championship with the Denver Broncos. And I'm trying to think, was he? I'm trying to look. Was he the MVP of that, or was that I gotta look that up. I can't remember who got. I know Peyton didn't get it because he didn't do shit in that Super Bowl. I know that for a fact. I need to see who was Super Bowl MVP of that game. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the selections that we have as far as this 2023 Hall of Fame induction. Let me see, but real quick before I go on, because now it's bugging me. I really need to see who the hell was the goddamn MVP. Why do I feel like it was Vaughn? I think it was Vaughn. Yeah, it was Vaughn. Okay, I thought so. I knew it was one of them dudes on that defense shit. They both was doing their thing. But yeah, so that is the list of the inductees. So the only thing that I kind of this is the only thing that I kind of hate about the NFL, like the I just don't understand why with some of these dudes that they put in the Hall of Fame, why does it take so long? I mean, literally, you had some of these niggas that they had. If you watch that shit in real life, they had these niggas pictures in black and white. And I'm just trying to figure out. I just want to know why does it take so entirely long to get these niggas in? But I don't know. That's kind of just something that's been sticking with me. Oh, excuse me. Something I'm just like, man, I don't understand why it takes some of these dudes so long. I mean, like one of these dudes, they said his last game was 40 years ago. And I'm just like, okay, so you telling me it took from the end of his career to now to figure out if you think that he if he belongs in the Hall of Fame. That shit's just kind of crazy to me. With some of these dudes, I don't know. And like and again, I'm not trying to knock some of these dudes because I mean, of course, some of these dudes are way before my time. But one of the dudes that they just named that they put in the Hall of Fame, I want to say was let me see, go back. Ken Riley. He never no, not Ken Riley. Yeah, Ken Riley never even got to a Pro Bowl. Now I understand his career was good, but it's like, and that kind of kills me with the NFL because they try to make it seem like you gotta have so much just to get in, but it's like I don't know. I feel like they give more leeway to some of these older players because of where they came from, which I'm not knocking. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, damn, when some of these new players is like, you make them go through hula hoop just to get in. I mean, this dude got no All Pro selections before his last year. Has no Pro Bowls, but yet To had to wait, and we know that To was up there when we talk about players at his position. So that's the only reason why that shit kind of irked me. I mean, I ain't mad at it. I ain't trying to hate on the dude because, of course, I don't know nothing that he did. I never heard of the dude, never seen one highlight of this dude. But you know, it is what it is. So I mean, I ain't gonna go all crazy about it. But that's kind of all I got to say about that. I ain't never went too crazy. I ain't even gonna talk about the game like that. I mean, the game was cool, but of course it's just preseason. Zach Wilson had a nice throw, which everybody was talking about, but again, it's preseason, bro. I'm not surprised Zach Wilson throwing bombs in preseason. He's been a starter in the NFL. No, as bad as he was, he's been a starter. But let's check out the comments. Oh shit, what's good, my boy? What's good? But yeah, y'all give me like 2 minutes. I got to go check on my son real quick. I hear him hollering. Y'all may not, but that's cause I got that good soundproof. But we gonna be right back. All right, but we back, man. Word around town, going around the NFL right now. So, first things first, just a shout out. Y'all see Dre on the pod. He got a brother in the league right now, Sam. I ain't gonna scratch up his last name because I do not know how to pronounce it. But he formerly played for the Dolphins, and as I believe it was yesterday that got announced that he signed to the New York Jets. So good move for him. I think he's definitely on a another playoff team. Definitely will see some playing time. He does play linebacker, and I feel like just with the linebackers on that roster, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to compete for a starting job. So shout out to you, my boy. Shout out to you. But in other news, just around the league, just while we scrolling on Twitter, live reaction. So far, the top 10 players are going to be released on NFL Plus today. I'm pretty sure they already out, but you know, we'll see how disrespectful they get this year. We'll see how disrespectful they get this year. But in other news, though, man, I had it on the top of my head, man. I had it right on the top of my head. Uh, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt are still out on the market. There was reported today that Kareem Hunt was supposed to be taking a meeting with the Saints. Clearly, we're looking at that because Alvin Kamara has got suspended for a couple of days because of the incident that happened at the Pro Bowl this past year. So Kareem Hunt is definitely somebody that they have on their watch list. They already they got a couple of running backs out there, but I guess they pretty much trying to keep their options open to make sure they just have pieces. Of course, of course, I think they still gonna look Kamara as the number one guy. I mean, a lot of people try to discount it, Alvin Kamara, but let's not act like that. His bad. I mean, because Alvin Kamara is a dual threat running back, right? He can run the ball, but he's also great at catching the ball, in space and doing what he does. And we're not going to act like that quarterback play didn't have a part to play in his decreasing numbers on the receiving end. I mean, as easy as a target as he is, especially for running backs with the check downs and everything like that. But hey, man, it is what it is. But but just some more going on. The Texas offensive tackle, Titus Howard, broke his hand today. There's not really a timetable on his return, but that definitely is a loss, especially when you got somebody out there that you're planning to protect your young quarterback. But we'll see how they how they hold up. Um, I believe that I believe the Texans said that they are going to start going to start their starters. So we'll see what they look like this week when they line up. Let me see who they playing because I looked at this earlier, but let's see. They play this Thursday against the Patriots. Yeah, and I believe that CJ Stroud is. Yeah, I think they announced that CJ Stroud and all of they number one receivers are going to be starting because they want to kind of see how they going to look. I don't know if Will Anderson is playing. I mean, like I said they said they starters as far as the offensive side. They didn't really elaborate on the defensive side, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna have everybody out there just so they can get an idea of what it's gonna look like. Because it's a lot of different pieces when you look at of course the quarterback. You got new defensive pieces. I think the Texans are going to be in the right direction as far as like elevating back to the Texas we once knew, of course, with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. So we'll see, and maybe that defense will get back to what we knew it to be too. So, but just more going on. John Johnson the third, he is back in LA. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he got released or he got traded to Cleveland, but he finds his way back in LA. So I guess that's just them trying to get back some help back on the secondary that they're losing, of course, with Jalen Ramsey going to Miami. I mean, of course, it looks like they made the better decision as we see now that he is hurt, and the reports say that he's not going to be back until December. So you can kind of say that they dodged the bullet there. I mean, we hope that he gets a full and healthy, speedy recovery. Right now, my squad is the Baltimore Ravens, my boy, the Baltimore Ravens. But I talk about any and everybody. The Ravens, they kind of be under the radar. I know about them because I follow them. But Baltimore Ravens, man, Baltimore Ravens. I'm glad my boy got paid. I'm glad my boy got paid. Let me know who your squad is. But but yeah, Joe Johnson, he's back with the Rams. I don't have too much invested into the Rams as far as like expectations. If they were to do something, it would definitely shock me. But I just don't see them as one of those top teams in the NFC West anymore because I definitely feel like Seattle's going to stick around and make some noise. I feel like Geno Smith is a perfect fit for that system that Pete Carroll has set up, especially when you have the dynamic receivers and DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett, and then you also have the that young receiver that they have. I always forget this dude's name, man, but I think they have a nice trio of receivers that they'll be able to have at his disposal. And even still, we know that DK Metcalf is still one of the. And me personally, I just like Jackson Smith. I can't even say his last name, so we're not even gonna try. But y'all can figure out his last name. But yeah, man, I just like with DK Metcalf, I just like that build of receivers. I just like those big body receivers that you can just throw the ball down there. It ain't got to be a perfect ball. It ain't necessarily got to be pretty, but he can go snatch that ball, man. He's 6'4". So those are just like the type of receivers that I like. That's just my personal preference for a wide receiver. I know you can get it done other ways, but if you just ask me personally, I like them big body receivers, man. The tall, go get it, no matter where you throw it, I'm a snatch it type of receivers. Like them, you better put two on me type of receiver. So I definitely feel like that Seattle's kind of taking LA's place as far as who could rival San Fran in that division. Seattle still has a couple of pieces they would need to kind of knock them off because we all know that San Fran is clearly the top dog in that division right now. I mean, it really don't matter what quarterback they have, on the center. They've shown that. I mean, the only reason why they fell to shambles is because they ran out of quarterbacks. They went through four quarterbacks. Every last quarterback they had got hurt. Every last one they had got hurt. And you just would not think that you would need to go sign another quarterback. You had two that went down. You had Trey, you had Jimmy, and then of course you had Brock. You had the other one behind him, and they both got hurt. So I still think that San Fran, as far as their system, they still kind of lead that division. They definitely need to get Nick Bosa's contract situation straightened out, which I know they will. They're not stupid. Um, they know what he brings to the table. So yeah, I feel like shout outs to John Johnson III for making his return back in LA. But I just don't see LA making a bit of. I mean, we'll probably talk about Aaron Donald and Cooper Cup, but what are we ever gonna do? I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Let's see. Cowboys over 10 wins or under. I had this conversation, but we can go over it. This, like I said, ain't nothing really too much planned, but let's see. Let's look at the schedule so far. Let's look at the Cowboys' schedule this year. We can go over it together. And y'all let me know if y'all think I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and share this right now. So Cowboys over 10 or under. You placing a bet or you just asking? I ain't responsible if nobody lose no money. I'm gonna get that out the way right now. I ain't responsible if nobody lose no money. All right, so week one at the Giants. So I definitely feel like the Cowboys will take that game. Cowboys are probably gonna take that game. The Jets, I'm giving that to the Jets. And I'm not one of them that's on this whole Jets train because of everything that they got going on and everything like that. The only reason why I'm saying that is because for whatever reason, it don't matter what happens in the game. And I said it even last year when the Packers were bad. Aaron Rodgers just finds a way to beat the Cowboys. And they can't get mad at me at that because they can talk about that playoff win all they want to, man. But for whatever reason, Aaron Rodgers just finds okay. You just asking, yeah, because I did a pod with somebody. They asked about some betting stuff. He ended up losing some money. Ended up losing some money. But so right now, but again, let's go over it. So the Giants and the Jets, I got them 1-1 right there. Of course, the Cardinals with everything they got going on, that's another dub. So that's two. I'll give them the Patriots. That's three. So that's 3-1 so far. They're losing against the 49ers. I don't care what anybody says. So that's 3-2. The Chargers, I feel like that'll be a damn good game, but it's the Chargers. I've talked about Justin Herbert and all they. I just don't see it. So it'll be a close game. It's a primetime game. I'll give it to the Cowboys. So that's 4-2 going through week 6, right? They'll beat the Rams. They'll beat the Rams. So that's 5-2. At the Eagles, they're going to lose, so that's 5-3. The Giants, I kind of want to say they're going to split against the Giants, but I don't know. That's the one. Like part of me feels like the Giants can finally maybe split a season with them. I feel like they got the right pieces as far as like they run game, and I feel like with the addition of Darren Wall, you know what? I'm gonna go on a limb and say that the Giants might be able to split. So let's see. Yeah, I think the Giants will be able to split, man. So let me go over this again. So that's 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, So that's 5-4 because I feel like the Giants are gonna split. So I think they'll get the Panthers. So that's 6-4. The Commanders they should get. So that's 7-4. The Seahawks, the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks might get them. I think the Seahawks might get them. So that's 7-5. I said that they go. So they gonna win this one against the Eagles. So that's so that's 8-5. They're gonna lose against the Bills. They're gonna lose. So yeah, they probably be right there. If you ask me, they probably be right at 10-7, maybe 11-6. Because I feel like either if I had to change a pick, I definitely feel like they'd probably split against the Giants. But I feel like they'll probably if I had to change anything, they'll probably split against the Giants. But I have a feeling they could probably beat the Bills. They could probably beat the Bills. And oh shit. Oh, I don't know. That's in Buffalo in December. The Bills might get them in that one. In Buffalo in December, the Bills might get them in that one. So no, I'll take that back. They'll probably end up losing at that Bills game. They'll probably end up. But if I had to switch anything, they probably won't split with the Giants. They probably might beat them both times. So that'll give them their 11 win, 11-6. But if they split with the Giants, then I see them being 10-7 because I don't see them winning in Buffalo in December. Maybe if they were in Dallas playing that game, I would give them a better chance. Because Buffalo is nasty in December, bro. We saw them had to move a game because it got so bad out there. Miami, I just don't think they can deal with the speed of that team. Especially as like you can't really just single out one receiver because they both have speed. The Lions, I feel like that'd be a good game, but I think they'll take it. And then I don't see them splitting any games with the Commanders. I feel like they're going to sweep them. So the only question I have is like I feel like they'll split against the Eagles. Um, I feel like the Giants can split, but I know they're going to get at least one. And I feel like that'll be the turning point. Can they win some of these other games? Uh, like I said, I don't see them beating the 49ers. I don't. I mean, the Jets might be one they take. The Jets might be one they take. If I had to pick any other game, because I said they'd beat Arizona, I said they beat New England, I said they beat the Chargers. They better, and now the only difference if they lose against the Chargers is gonna be a problem. I don't think they're going down to the Eagles. They'll split the Eagles. That's one thing I will say because I will say, just looking at the changes and the moves, the Eagles had definitely. I don't think they're as. I don't think their defense is as stout as it was last year, but the Cowboys' defense has definitely gotten better, and I feel like that a lot of people are kind of overlooking the fact that they added Brandon Cooks. That's one thing that I feel like is not being talked about. And Brandon Cooks has been, 1,000-yard receiver, except for last year, only because he was holding out saying that he wanted to be traded. So I feel like that. I feel like they'll split against the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles will just go dog walk them. Even, I mean, I understand that doing both of their games last year. Dak was hurting one and Jalen Hurts was hurting one, but they were still damn good games. So that's why I still feel like they'll split. You know what I'm saying? So, but the Giants is the one where I feel like, okay, have the Giants made enough moves? Have the Giants put enough defensive pieces on that team? Have the Giants, are they going to use, Darren Waller as another weapon in addition to that running game? Are they going to, try to get him to be one of those people, one of those type of quarterbacks to where his tight end is his first read and then he goes out to look to everybody else? We'll just have to wait and see what it looks like, you know. You said I can't stay in Cincinnati. No, not in this division. Only because I mean, right now I don't care what anybody says. In the AFC North, it's clearly going to be a battle between. I mean, everybody's looking at the top two teams is Baltimore and Cincinnati right now, right? Only because we don't know what we're going to see from Deshaun Watson and Pittsburgh. They're kind of like a question mark because we saw that Kenny Pickett was going up. We're expecting George Pickens to be better this year, even though I have seen some of his training camp footage, and there are a lot of offensive pass interferences that were not getting called, but that's training camp. That shit is getting called in the game. So I just feel like that 10-7 definitely is not going to be enough for the Cowboys to win the division. And you have to also take into account when you just look at all the other teams. I mean, it'll probably you might not win the division, but you can almost be assume that it'll be enough to get him a wild card spot in the playoffs. I mean, because when you look at all of the teams in the NFC, right? Of course, we expect the NFC West, one of those teams, to get over 10 wins. Uh, NFC North, I mean, of course, we look at one of those teams, but of course, the number one team. But when you talk about wild card teams, do you think that Green Bay is going to get the 10? Do you think Detroit's going to get the 10? Seattle, you can kind of probably predict they're going to get the 10. So let's get one of those teams out of the way right there. Do you think that any of the teams in the NFC South are going to get the 10? Just period. Not, the number one team in the NFC South, just any team in the NFC South, period. Because let's not act like, we know the Saints defense is that, but is Derek Carr going to have a comeback season? I'm not expecting Tampa Bay to get 10 wins with that quarterback room. I'm not expecting Carolina to get 10 wins. Of course, they're rebuilding. I'm not expecting Atlanta to get 10 wins. They're kind of in the rebuilding process. Right now, wishful thinking for them is going, getting 7, 8, 9 wins. I don't see them getting 10. I don't see that. And I haven't even looked at their schedule, but I just don't see them doing that just because they are still all in the rebuilding stage. I mean, they're going to beat up on each other, but I don't see them just really making a lot of noise against it. Unless they got to play another sorry division, I don't see any of those teams in the NFC South making a lot of noise. They're not making a lot of noise. But yeah, 10-7 is not going to be. But then again, we never know because when you look at the Cowboys and the Eagles schedule, like I said, I don't think the Eagles defense is as good as it was last year. It's still a good defense, but when you look at just the combined, sacks and success of that team as a whole, when you look at all the players that contribute, they lost some key players on that team. That's what a lot of people aren't looking at when we talk about, like, a lot of people just automatically got the Eagles as just the clear-cut winners of this shit just because they got a lot of the offense back. But we got to remember that the defense got to take the field too. Of course, you could kind of, regulate how much they out there, because of course the Eagles are still a team that can run the ball down your throat and throw it if they want to. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. 10-7 is not going to be enough, but I'm not going to necessarily say that that's just going to knock the Cowboys out the playoffs. So, but I got them right there around what you was asking. Back to your original question, if you see the Cowboys over 10 wins, I got them right at 10 or probably getting 11 wins. They're gonna be like a 10, 11 win team. That's kind of how I predict the Cowboys this year, and that ain't a bad prediction. I don't think I disrespected them. But let's see what else going on in the league before we get into this. Like I said, this ain't gonna be too crazy of a show today. I just had to get on here and talk a little bit. But let's see. So I guess this is kind of can transition into my next topic since we actually glad Rogers gone from Green Bay. Man, it was time for him to go. Yeah, it was time for him to go. After Devontae left, it was time for him to go. It was time for him to go. I mean, what was he going? And then it's like you wasn't showing the training camp. The writing was on the wall. You wasn't showing the training camp for no new receivers. Wasn't doing nothing, man. Wasn't doing nothing. But I guess that can kind of just segue into our next topic. Kind of the only, like I said, I wasn't going to go too crazy with it today. But I kind of just wanted to get into it, because we know the NFL is kind of a copycat league. Um, are the Eagles changing the landscape of kind of how we're going to be doing team building, right? So, of course, we have where on the offensive side of the ball, of course, they're paying their quarterback. They went ahead and paid A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith is still on his rookie contract, but their offensive line is definitely solidified, right? So on the other side of the ball, they have their D tackle. They have Brandon Graham, I believe they brought back. They have their They have their secondary with Darius Slay, of course. But then you just have the thing that kind of like stood out to me is that the linebacker is kind of the linebacker core of that team is kind of the position that they're not really paying. A lot of them are just on like little small 1 year, $2.5 million contracts. So sorry. Oh man, let me address this real quick. Hell no, that shit ain't happening, man. Do we forget? Hold on. Sidebar. I think people are forgetting what Richard Sherman did to this man. I really think people are forgetting what Richard Sherman did to this man. And I ain't gonna play the whole thing, but I really think people are forgetting what Richard Sherman did to this man. Like, I understand it was a long time ago, but come on, man. Yeah, y'all really think that they're gonna be able to go back and be in the same room with each other after this shit, man? Ain't no way in hell. In case people are forgetting what happened, because this shit got personal. Let me see. This shit ain't gonna work. Let me see if I can get this shit with some sound on it, man. But even if I don't get it to pull up, man, hell no, Richard Sherman and Skip Bayless ain't working together. Ain't no way in hell that shit gonna work. And I don't even know why they fucked around and even entertained that shit. That shit don't make no sense to me. I don't know why they entertained that. Richard Sherman is not getting on there with that dude. And when it comes down to it, man, I just, bro, no, that shit ain't gonna work, bro. That shit is not gonna work. Richard Sherman end up on there, you gonna no. I mean, Richard Sherman is professional. Don't get me wrong, but it's just some relationships that just cannot be fixed. That boy Richard Sherman tore that nigga ass up on ESPN a long time ago. He was coming at him for nothing. Was coming at that dude for no reason. You see if I can get this shit, man. See if
as a result of all of that. I guess what I'm asking is this: you talking smack at Redskins.
But nah, man, they ain't finna fix that relationship, bro. At this point, Skip Bayless might as well go ahead and just realize that he done burned. Man, I don't give a damn. He might as well go ahead and realize that he should have kept his mouth shut. Shannon Sharp was as much as he don't want to admit it. Yeah, he may have been in the business a long time, but Shannon Sharp was the best thing that happened to Skip Bayless as far as him doing his own thing at the ESPN, man. You can talk about a mutual agreement all you want to, but I don't know. I mean, if it happened, it happened. Hey, man, I don't care what you say. Charles Barkley is the GOAT. Charles Barkley needs to be protected at all costs. I don't care what nobody say, man. Charles Barkley is the GOAT of this shit. Charles Barkley don't give a fuck. Charles Barkley don't give a damn. Charles Barkley don't give a damn about FCC airways. He gonna say what the hell come to his mind. It may not make sense to nobody else but him, but he's still gonna say it. He don't give a damn. He don't give a damn. But yeah, man. Before I get too much off of it, man. But yeah, I really do feel like the Eagles are kind of changing the landscape. So when we look at the way that some of these teams was built for the last couple of years, right? Um, I just think that the Eagles are kind of, looking at it like, okay, we're not finna worry about spending too much money on these linebackers. Like even last year, they brought in Ndamukong Suh on a little small contract, got to the Super Bowl. 1 year, 2.5 million. And I really think that's kind of the direction that I wouldn't even say just linebacker. I feel like they just want to have one dominant player or just one veteran. And they just gonna fill that shit out, man. Oh yeah, Skip. Yeah. Oh yeah. So Barkley wouldn't. Barkley. First of all, Charles Barkley wouldn't even took that phone call. Charles Barkley wouldn't even took that phone call. Skip Bayless know not to call him. He know not to call him. Ain't no way in hell he'd ever call him. But yeah, man, I feel like the Eagles are definitely changing the landscape. When we talking about the way that people are like building teams, I definitely feel like the Eagles are kind of setting the blueprint. Maybe, I mean, because when you look at some of these teams, because when you look at the Chiefs, right? I don't really think that a lot of teams could copy what they're doing. Is because there's not a lot of Travis Kelsey just falling out of the goddamn trees, man. When you look at the way that team was built, of course we knew that Travis Kelsey was still gonna be that dog. But they just put decent receivers. They had Juju Smith Schuster. They had all these other receivers that were just decent receivers. They weren't good names, but they let Pat go through his reads and just let him dish the ball out to wherever it had to go. And you had an offensive genius in Andy Reid. So I do feel like when we look at the defensive side of the ball, I feel like that the Philadelphia Eagles might be changing the landscape because as far as the offense, they still are paying they still got the offensive line taken care of. They got the quarterback taken care of. Of course, they follow suit with everybody else. They don't give a fuck about the running back, but they got their receiver. They have their receiver. So when we just look at the defensive side of the ball, yeah, they have their corner in Darius Slay, but you don't necessarily see them investing a lot of money into a pass rusher, which is what a lot of teams are doing nowadays. When you look at the J.J. Watts, when he was in his prime, when you look at T.J. Watt, when you look at Nick Bosa, when you look at Myles Garrett, when you look at these edge rushers that are getting paid or just these people in general, the Aaron Donalds of the world, just these players that they are paying to go get the quarterback. I kind of feel like the Philadelphia is going against that. They like say we're going to go get these veteran dudes because we know that we have what it takes to make a strong push in the playoffs to get to another Super Bowl. They did it last year and they're doing it again. And I feel like that's going to be the formula because, look, we all know that once you pay the quarterback, it's kind of hard to keep these other positions. But you got your quarterback, you got your receiver, you got your offensive line paid. And all these other defense positions that you got to kind of fill in the blanks in, they give these dudes $2.5 million contracts, multiple dudes on a 1 year deal and they're taking it because they understand the opportunity that they're in. A lot of these dudes coming and taking them contracts ain't never been in no Super Bowl, ain't never had a chance to really compete for the most part. That's why they want to be able to hang their cleats knowing that they at least competed or at least won a Super Bowl. And I feel like Philadelphia, especially in the NFC East, where you really only look at them and San Francisco as the top dogs. I mean, the next ones up, of course, you think of the Cowboys, think of the Vikings, teams of that nature. The ones that are probably right there on their heels. But just as far as the top dogs in the NFC, everybody is saying that it's the 49ers and the Eagles, man. And that's kind of what people are going off of. You don't see a lot of people running to the 49ers, though. They kind of got their own thing going on. I mean, they ain't paid no quarterback, but they got everything else. I mean, of course, they're gonna have to pay Bosa eventually, but I'm just like, hey man, but that's just kind of what I got on that right now. I mean, like I said, I wasn't going too crazy. I just kind of think that's something that I was noticing. So, hey man, but let's see. Yeah, right now, I will say that the Cowboys, as far as the Cowboys roster construction on the defensive side, definitely better. Is definitely better than the Eagles right now. Just because you got two corners that can definitely hold their own. They don't need a double team. I like the safeties they got. They just, I believe it was Wilson they just put on a contract. We already know what Michael Parsons is going to do, and then you got another dude, DeMarcus Lawrence, on the defensive line that definitely is going to handle his business. So I do feel like that the Eagles, the only back seat that the Eagles took to me personally is on the defense because they did lose a lot of defensive pieces. But if you ask me, just as far as like offensive wise, I feel like that the Eagles are still right there neck and neck with the Cowboys, maybe just a tick above because right now their offensive line is clearly better than theirs. Um, it's kind of like a toss up of who got the better running back room because with the Eagles, shit, they had Miles Sanders, and I don't even think he cracked 1,000 yards as good as he is. I mean, Jalen Hurts kind of ran that train, but you know, the Cowboys roster construction as far as defense is better, but I would definitely give the Eagles a tick above on offense just because that offensive line is the truth, and we all know that if you got a decent well, if you have a damn good offensive line, you can make a lot of noise, especially with the type of offense that the Eagles play. That offensive line was a key piece in it. And right now, the Cowboys they got Zach Martin holding out. That's one of the top guards in the league. If you don't have him, I just don't. I feel like that run game is definitely gonna take a hit. I mean, I haven't watched too many Cowboys training camp videos to see what's going on. But if you ask me right here, right now, I feel like the Cowboys definitely had a better defense, especially adding Stephon Gilmore. And I feel like the Eagles have the better offense. Uh I don't know about Pollard going for that much. He might, but again, is the loss of Zach Martin if the Cowboys don't go ahead and re-sign him going to hinder that? I mean, because if we talk about Tony Pollard bouncing it to the outside, then okay, cool. But if you got to run inside the tackles, I mean, I don't like I said, I don't know who else the Cowboys have at guard that can fill that position. And we understand. I understand that he's an older player, but if you're still producing, you had to take that in consideration. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I agree with him sitting out. At the end of the day, you signed the contract, bro. Yeah, I understand that the times have changed, but hey, players got to understand in this league too, you will be the highest paid in your position for a good 30 minutes before that is given to somebody else as far as being the highest paid at that position, bro. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand. Shit. So I don't know. I don't too much agree with him holding out. I mean, you signed the contract. You were the highest paid at that time. We understand the times changed, but goddamn, I just don't. I don't know. I don't know about Saquon explosive. I don't know about Saquon explosive. Let's see, better record, Jags or Chargers? Uh, let's see, man. Who the Jaguars got to play this year? I ain't even, and I just want to do that just based off of who they got to play outside of their division. That's the only reason why I want to see. Let's see who Jacksonville got to play, my boy. Oh, this preseason. Whew. Shit, Jacksonville. They got to play the NFC South. Worst case scenario is that they might split the goddamn games against the AFC North. They got to play, but they got to play the Saints. Yeah, I don't see that. Yeah, the Jazz gonna get that. I ain't even looked at the Chargers goddamn me schedule and already just their division alone is gonna cause them some problems. Just their division alone. Oh Lord, hold on. Who they got to play, man? They got to play the AFC East, and they got to play. I don't know. But I do think solely because their division is tougher, Jacksonville. Yeah, Jacksonville. What you talking about? You sick of these athletes? More yards, Bryce or CJ? I'd probably give it to Bryce. Only because when I look at that Panthers wide receiver room, I mean, only way I feel like he gonna have more yards is if DJ Shark go ahead and if he's healthy and Adam Thielen is able to play off of him because I like DJ Shark. I mean, I liked him when he was with Jacksonville, but he just the boy's always injured. He is always injured. But I probably give it to Bryce Young though. I like the trajectory that they receivers was making last year. And then I mean, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe the fact that you got a vet and Adam Thielen over there that'll help you out. I mean, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like with some of the defenses the boys like to go against in Carolina, I just don't see it. Let me see. Because I did like how some of those Texas wide receivers was looking towards the end of the season last year though. I ain't gonna cap. I mean, a lot of people don't ain't gonna really know about them just because, it was a Texas they really wasn't talked about. But they got Robert Woods out there now. Maybe he might, turn back the hands of time. Nico Collins and they got Noah Brown. So I don't know. I mean, we know. I mean, we know who Noah Brown. We know Noah Brown used to play for the Cowboys, but everybody was always talking about his hands. So we'll see. I mean, they both got some vets. They both got some vets. Oh yeah, these rich athletes holding out. I mean, I don't really care for it just because I mean, it's one thing if you holding out for your first contract. I kind of understand that, and to an extent, your performance has to justify you holding out for that contract. But I just don't agree with Zach Martin. It's like, bro, you first of all, you shouldn't have, because I think he signed a 6-year contract. You shouldn't have signed that long of a contract in the first place. You shouldn't have signed that long of a contract, not at your position. You know what I'm saying? Because or just any. I mean, the only time I feel like you should sign a long-term extension like that is if you are a quarterback, and the number has to be enough to where you'll be fine, and then you could go back to the table, after your 4th or 5th year. But as an offensive lineman, we all look at these offensive linemen that come out in the first round, and a lot of them are kind of just like, they're successful. They're successful. So I understand where he's coming from, but it's like, say, man, some of these niggas got to understand. It's like, come on, bro, you signed a contract. You can't sit here and get mad that because 4 years later, this nigga's getting this. The money is changing every year. Same thing with basketball. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. A lot of people got mad that Jayden Brown got that $300 million, man. But had he signed that deal 2-3 years, he was still gonna get the max. Had he got it a couple years ago, and the max was only like 220, he was still gonna get it. So I feel you on that. I mean, it's one thing. I mean, the only case like Nick Bosa, I understand him holding out. You know what I'm saying? He's still on his rookie deal. We see the accolades he's had, been in the NFC Championship game, a Super Bowl. Ain't like none of the losses been his fault, but yeah, he still put up his numbers and has been the best defensive player in the league, man. So I understand that, but it's like, Zach Martin, you signed your contract extension. You signed for a 6-year deal. You can't sit there and get mad because you signed, like, in your eyes, you feel like you signed a bad contract. At the end of the day, you signed the contract. Like, and it's like, and I said the same thing. I said the same thing about Zeke holding out. You still like you still. I mean, I understand that was his rookie contract, but you still on contract, bro. Like, some of these dudes got that. It's like you. It's self-inflicted at this point. You signed the contract for 6 years as a guard. Like, yeah, if you felt like you needed to sign that contract because you were injury prone or something like that, and that was the best thing for you, but did nobody see that? Like, why did you sign that contract for that long at your position? There was no reason for that. So I don't agree with Zach Martin holding out something like, and a lot of these damn running backs I don't agree with because some of them talking outside of their fucking neck. You know what I mean? And I'm going to support them getting paid, but it's like, you got to do this shit the right way. And I'm just not going for goddamn. And back to the question as far as, Zach Martin holding out on that offensive line, I don't agree with it. People can say what they want, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Shit, you signed the contract, man. At the end of the day, you just got to look yourself in the mirror like, hey, man, I signed. Like, when are we going? If this was any other business, bro, we would be making these niggas fulfill these goddamn contracts. If this was any other business, they would have to fulfill these contracts until the contract is expired, done. So like I said, to an extent, I can understand, but for the most part, I ain't going for that shit, man. That shit bogus as hell to me. I don't care for it. I don't like it. You signed the contract, man. You got to deal with that shit. You got to deal with that shit. Don't be sitting there getting mad just because, you done sat there and signed and you see that people passing you by. The money change every year, man. You know that. You know the money change every year. If you want to be a part of it, sign a 4-year deal. Don't sign no 6-year deal. You only sign a 6-year deal if you feel like that if you're gonna be some type of injury prone and you just want to make sure you got a long-term deal. That way, at the end of your shit, you can at least go somewhere and get mid-level money or something like that. But don't get mad, when you see that everybody else, like, don't stop counting these other niggas' pockets. That's really what it is. Stop counting these other niggas' pockets. Oh, he getting this. It don't fucking matter what he getting. You signed your contract. You put your name and ink on that signature, man. You sitting here crying, complaining because you got to play at least 17 games. You got to play 17 games a year, man. I understand it's more that goes into it behind the scenes, but if we just talk about actually performing your job, you have to at least perform your job 17 times. And sometimes some of y'all niggas don't even do that because you get hurt. But then you want to cry when you see everybody else getting paid when you signed your contract. Ain't nobody make you sign that motherfucker. You could have said no. And I keep the same energy for everybody, man. For everybody. Sports is the only business where niggas will try to get out of a contract before the contract is fulfilled. The only industry where somebody would try to get out of a contract. Imagine if you signed a contract with me tomorrow. I signed a contract. I need you to do some work for me for 3 years. And I'm going to pay you this certain amount every month to do that work. I'm not going to ask you to do no more. I'm going to ask you to do that work. And I got a contract for you for 3 years. But after a year and a half, you see that, goddamn me, whoever the hell 2 doors down is getting this for somebody to do the same work for. You want to come back to the table? No, sir. I'm still paying you for this job. This is what we agreed to. You need to finish this job. Once the contract ends, then we can we got a year left, then we can renegotiate an extension that'll kick in after the current contract expires. But as far as y'all trying to, do this shit, y'all got 2-3 years left on y'all shit, man. Y'all can miss me with that shit, bro. Y'all can miss me with that. I don't give a damn how none of y'all motherfuckers feel. Shit, it's football, man. Y'all motherfuckers y'all got to perform once a week. I understand it. Once a week. Once a week. Maybe sometimes twice if you got to play Sunday and Thursday. But I don't give a damn. You getting too much goddamn money to complain about performing 2 days a week. Motherfuckers out here paying your salary, got to work 5 to 6, some 7. You can get over it. But that's been another episode of the Cold Truth Podcast, man. I'm your host, White Boy Chris. We probably gonna move the show to Tuesdays once the football season come around. Of course, with Monday Night Football, I ain't gonna be doing no live reaction and shit like that. We're gonna watch Sunday's game. You gonna get recaps from Thursday, Sunday, and Monday game every Tuesday, man. So we still gonna be here on Mondays, but once football season starts, we will probably more than likely be moving the show to every Tuesday. Don't know if we're gonna go live or if we're just gonna release it on Tuesday. We'll figure out all the technicalities and all that stuff later. But once again, man, this has been another episode of the Cold Truth Podcast. I'm your host, White Boy Chris, and until next week, man, I am out.